Good morning, everybody. It's been a little while. I had a bit of a hiatus there, um, but we're back. Cute for Teams. I think I see a couple new names, and so if this is your first time, Cute for Teams is just open office hours or ask me anything. But basically, where Teams enthusiasts like yourself come together and we just chat about Teams and myself and Stacy, who may join us today, try to answer questions you may have about Teams, best practices, and troubleshooting, roadmap, and all that kind of thing. So glad you could make it. Feel free to use the chat or come off mute if you have any questions, including now. I was going to talk a little bit about some of the new Teams experience. And I know on the GCC side, I don't think that option or toggle is there yet commercially, and, or your personal accounts is there. And, we will be coming. And so it's kind of just prep for getting ready for the new chatting experience, even if you're in GCC. But since it's been so long since we have met, I do want to make sure I open it up if anybody's had a question they've been waiting, like, I don't know if it's been like a month, they've been waiting to ask. So I'm checking the chat here. It says approval app hasn't been added to GCC. What is it? And some of our users have requested it. It's the approval app. Let me see, because I haven't used it myself, but I am familiar. And if anybody has used it, feel free to chime in. Um, du- 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 du. I'm assuming this here is the Microsoft Approvals app. That's what you're talking about. Um, in a nutshell, kind of as it implies, it's workflow based approvals. Document or something you need um, a sign off on, kind of thing. That's what this would be for. But as you can see, also there's some integration with at least two key partners here. I don't know if others could be added, but if you are an Adobe Sign or DocuSign user, those approvals could come here. And obviously the benefit being the integration right within your in Teams to get these approvals done without having to go to other places, the browser and things like that. um, so the app itself, um, and I'm gonna switch over to my GCC. Oh, let's see, GCC tenant here. GCC, and double check on that availability. See there? Okay, so there is a proof. So this is a GCC tenant we're looking at. So I know you said um, hasn't been added. My tenant has it, so I don't know when you may have gotten that note about it not being in GCC. This suggests that it is. Um, it's not authoritative. Certainly, that rollout it could have hit my tenant and not yours. Certainly that could happen. You can see here, for instance, that there's no Adobe or DocuSign integration. So that may be one change or difference between the two. But the basic functionality, looks to be there. So I guess I would double check. In fact, you got a confirmation in the chat. Someone else on GCC has the approval apps, again, without the Adobe Sign integration yet. So a couple people in the chat are confirming they have it on GCC. So yeah, I would just double check your tenant there. I guess it could be possible. I haven't looked into it. I suspect it could be possible that your admins could be blocking it. I don't know if you are an admin, but that'd be the other thing to check is make sure there's no block on the admin side for that app. But it looks to be there. And so yeah, give that a try. So hope that helps. Let me see here. Oh, and then so in a confirmation that the new teams button, I guess, is in GCC. So here we go with the whole, my tenant doesn't have that switch available. Um, Now I am not on the, I know you can do a setting to kind of make sure you got, new features as soon as they happen. Maybe my tenant doesn't have that. So yeah, so I'll have to look into that for this tenant to see. And maybe it's been a while since I fired this tenant up. Um, I have to look and see why I'm not getting the switch here. But it's good to hear that you guys are, that many of you do have the new apps, the new Teams app as a choice. Maybe my update will help. But as I switch back over to my commercial tenant, that will make our little talk about the new Teams experience more relevant. Uh, Share my other window. Cool. Um, all right, so yeah, so there's the approvals. We'll kind of go off of that for a second. There was a couple things I wanted to highlight and hoping to get your feedback on too. Obviously, you guys that have joined us before know this is interactive. Happy to have you come off mute, talk out these things. But channels is getting some attention. It's gotten a little facelift. The biggest piece being channel post going from top to bottom, newest to oldest. Um, with this, start a new post here, and basically, as I was telling someone, this is this is the literal end to that age-old problem of people, at least in my opinion, the end of that problem of people re- trying to reply to a ongoing conversation, and they end up making it as a new post. And it was because it was, when it's down at the bottom, it was easy to kind of miss. I feel like it's impossible to miss now, right? That this is a new post, and if I wanted to add something to this conversation here, again, there's no new post at the bottom, so it's gonna be a reply. I mean, if anything, I'm going to make a mistake in trying to make a new post and turn that into a reply. I guess that could be a new problem, right? Now people who want new posts are going to be creating replies. But in general, it feels like that's the end of that challenge of these orphan posts that somebody meant to have as part of this conversation, right? So your new post is very evident. It's very clear that you're making a brand new post versus an actual reply. So that's good to me. Seeing in the chat, the new channel experience delayed until October. Um, and I wonder if that's for GCC and going GA. It's just because it sounds like some people in GAA can see the new team's experience. Oh, okay. So we'll have to watch that one. Um, but I am curious to people's experience with channels in general, even before these new experiences. I've come to see that a lot of users for chat, especially uh, kind of ad hoc or informal chat, tend to do so in what we would call private or group chat, even if their team exists out here in a team's team. Sometimes, depending on the type of conversation, they will make a chat out here in the chat area with those same members. What I feel like is that people kind of have a feeling of channel chat being more formal, and that the more informal chat, um, maybe just doesn't belong there. And so, in my opinion, it's all about what the team, dictates. Certainly, a team created that did want to be formal. There are some controls for moderation of that channel, if you really wanted to be more formal about it. Um, But otherwise, I usually, when I get on Teams, I don't see anyone kind of make those kind of announcements like, hey, nobody start, talking informally here. They don't really say that. So it kind of just, but I've just seen over time, I've just seen a lot of people gravitate to the channel chat, I mean, the group chat here. And on the feedback forums, I'm seeing people, because many spend so much time in this area, I've seen requests about wanting channel conversations to be listed here as well, which I totally get because you can pin your group chats that you want to keep up on. And so this idea of pinning a channel conversation, I can see that having some value too. So that is not a feature that I'm aware of is coming. I'm just calling out. I've seen that request. And when anybody saying Ricardo said this feature is coming. But being said, I don't know if anybody, maybe by thumbs up, if you consider your channel chat to be formal and not a place for, you know, general conversation. The one advantage to it obviously is these group chats are like text message change, right? It's just free flowing thought, one single conversation that goes on for months, right? Versus the channels having their own conversations, within that channel. So you can easily talk about different topics within a channel. And so even with people that I would like to group chat with, I would still like separate conversations. Uh, Sometimes if two conversations are happening in a group chat, it's hard to keep up because there's just that single stream of thought. Same challenge we have with text messaging, right? Um, but so all that being said, these new enhancements, I'm wondering if they'll have any impact on people's use of the channels, and even channel meetings as well. So I'm a big fan of channels, but I've just seen different opinions out there in the wild. The other thing that I wanted to show, and I think I may have shown this to some degree before, and so this is kind of Ricardo's two big likes about the new experience. One is this top to bottom, start a new post, no more confusion in terms of replies. That's a one piece. But this concept, what I would call this idea of trying to minimize context switching, is the other cool feature, and I can show that by way of I'll use Bob here to send a message to me. Come over to chat, and he's gonna send a message to me. I'll just say hello. And that's going to, as of course, come up as a pop-up. And I can do a quick reply here. That's cool too. That's nothing new. But clicking on it and having it show up in its own window, I think that's part of the new experience. And that is good to me because that means what I don't have to do is have my entire Teams window come up and land on the chat. And now whatever I was doing, especially if I'm doing something in Teams, is now, I've switched over to this chat. And now I have my own chat here for my conversation with Bob, and any other chats that may have come up. These would all be separate pop-out windows. But where it gets even more interesting to me is, let's say Bob, close this. Let's say Bob goes into a team that we're both a part of and starts a new post. And let's say tags the team. I will also get a pop-up about that. And for that, again, this is a channel message. To have that come up in its own window, I'm seeing not even the full channel. I'm seeing just that conversation in that channel post. And especially if there were other replies here, I can follow, even throughout the day, follow this one conversation in this channel in its own pop out. Whatever I was doing, especially if I was doing something else in Teams, was not interrupted. At least for me, a pop up would not interrupt me. And I can continue to monitor, respond, do all those things in the channel. Um, Clicking here, well, let's see, that actually takes me to the full channel. You can see I can do a new post and I can see all the other messages still in a pop out. And I was thinking, there's not, let's see here, open channel. Nope. I thought there might be something that would take me back to my Teams client, but essentially I can go here and obviously go to the channel itself. But I wanted to show also, again, if I were to, instead of that pop-up, respond to this via my activity feed, clicking on that again, just that one conversation in that channel, ready to reply. And then over here, I have that go to channel thing. If I do want to go to the full, and then it happened to already be a pop up, I'm gonna close that. Go to channel, and that will take me to the channel in all of its glory, right? And I can continue from there. So whether it's through the activity feed or clicking the banner, the ability to be taken to the conversation in question and not so much just to the channel, because that can be distracting, especially if that channel is busy, that this post is that I'm being sent to. With this approach, I get to focus on the actual thing, the actual conversation, and not anything else that's going on in that channel. Whereas, you take me here and maybe I'll see it, but maybe I get distracted by these other things going on in the channel as well. So that's a big one for me. That's when you talk about feeling the effects of new features, that is one that I personally have felt in my day-to-day workflow productivity. The that concept of opening a new channel with just it feels, to Ricardo at least, less distracting, less less context shifting for my mind. So I don't know if anybody's seen that, tried it, have a feeling about it as well. But those are two of the cool features that I think are nice about this new channel experience. So any questions or comments on that? I see Stacy's joined us as well. Hey, Stacy.
I made it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that to me is good stuff. Yeah, and hopefully, of course, everybody just knows, these uh, group group chat messages can all be popped out, and so to me, that's a better way for me to monitor stuff, is popping these things out and having these little windows all around. I guess if you've been working off of one monitor, maybe that could be a little more challenging, but I got a lot of landscape space here, so I put these little individual messages all over. Good stuff there. I do have another anecdote about Loop, but before I do that, again, I'll just make sure I'm not missing any questions from the audience on any topic. Doesn't have to be channels or anything. Give you a chance for that. Feel free to raise your hand, come off mute, use the chat. My anecdote for Loop, as that's coming and people are kind of, one of the things is trying to figure out use cases for it. The big one for that happened, if you ever have a trip or anything that, maybe your team is about to take, this is the example for us. The team was going on for a team offsite, and in the chat, it started to ask the question, when are people arriving? And I immediately was thinking, okay, this is going to start a slew of messages where people are going to individually say, I'm arriving on Delta at this time and blah, blah, blah. And that's when I was like, nope, we've got the technology to do better than that. Quick table, and I did name, arrival, and where's my and departing, and then I started with mine, put my stuff in there, and then just let it go, right? So into that group chat. And so now everybody in that chat has the ability to jump into this chat and start filling in their stuff right within the chat, right in the same context of where the question was asked. When is everybody arriving? And we certainly could have and would have done this. Uh, I want to say old school, but it's like 5 months ago, right? We would have fired up an Excel spreadsheet to get this done, and that works too. We could have maybe even embedded that file, right here. But one, quickness, integration right within the conversation. I think those are the upsides of this. Plus the fact that if I wanted to then share all that info with somebody that wasn't in this chat, then I can manage that access, give them a link here, or if we wanted to continue this um, collection of data in an email, then boom, we can do that as well. So we can start to put it in other places as well. So something that was ad hoc, real time in a chat becomes an asset that could be put in other places without the efforts of more formal efforts of firing up a file and storing that file somewhere. So that was just a real world use case that happened for me just in the last couple of weeks. I thought I'd just share on that. So, um, so yeah, just the advantages of Loop, coming soon to a Teams client near you. Any questions, thoughts, or comments on that? In the chat says, I've been playing with adaptive cards and posting to Teams with a response that data saves back to SharePoint. I'm having a difficult time finding when someone responds how to capture their user information in the post back. So when they respond, capturing. Oh, I think you're asking that from the perspective of like the design of the card and maybe the taking the info from like I'm assuming maybe a Power Automate workflow and putting that in the card itself.
Yes, you can build a form.
Yeah.
And when you push the submit to go back, Automate picks it up and pushes it back to SharePoint.
Yeah.
But I have a hard time finding where it will actually capture the user information. But what it's doing right now is it's putting my name on every one of the post packs. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want my name on all those.
Okay.
For the
So
version history.
right. So where I thought you were going with that is, going into Power Automate to show how you would extract, the data of the person's name from the form that they submitted. I don't think that's what you're saying. It's more about the name on the adaptive card, right?
Right. Well, once they push the button, it's not
Right.
capturing
So,
the information back that who the user is. It shows that I'm the
uh,
user, and I don't
okay.
want it to show I'm the user. I need it to show who submitted it. Does that make sense?
So, yeah. So on maybe on the next session, I could actually go through building out that adaptive card and bringing that
Yeah.
in. But
Yeah, that would
but
be.
having your name on the card, I think is by design because that workflow is you. Because I've made cards and workflows for my teams, and it's the same thing. My name shows up on it as if I'm
Yeah, I think right now I have it set to Flowbot, but
yeah,
that may not
right.
always. I've kind of found it's flaky and if it works or not. So.
Yeah. So yeah, I think by design, it is just doing that by design that that workflow is you posting, you in air quotes posting that. I think maybe the only way around that would be, using a different kind of maybe a different kind of enterprise-based workflow versus a personal one. But I haven't tried that. But all the ones I have done have had my name on it. And you're right, that looks a little weird. It kind of looks like it's you doing something, especially like you say, from a version history perspective. The card itself can certainly clarify, based on you putting info in there, it can clarify what it is. And that's what I've done. I've actually added the phrase, this is an automated workflow or something like that, just to make sure they know it wasn't me. They don't need to respond to me. But I guess that's all I've got right now. It's just confirming that, yes, that is, I've seen that work that way too for my workflows. And outside of going more towards a non-personal flow, I'm not sure if there's a way around that. So I'll look into that. And if that's an interest, maybe by show of hand claps or something, making adaptive cards that push out to teams from a Power Automate workflow. If that's something you want to see a demo of next time, I can certainly do that.
I can say when I first started looking at it, I was very intimidated by, I thought I was going to have to write all this code, and I kind of went, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But because I went to that card designer online, I just popped the stuff in and it built it for me, which was a lot easier.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anybody trying out cards, remember that you copy and paste, as that's the way to start with cards, is copy and paste. That will get you 90% of what you need. Then you tweak the rest until you get better and, more comfortable with it. So, yeah, definitely you don't need to do anything from scratch from a adaptive card perspective. And then, as more AI and Copilot and stuff gets in there, then you let Copilot do it for you. All right. Good stuff. Any other questions in our last minute or so? Good deal. If you are new today, and hope you enjoyed it, hope you come back, and we'll be here. And of course, these all go on YouTube as well. If you haven't subscribed already, please do that as well. All of this, as you probably already know, aka.ms/Qt4Teams will get you access to all that stuff. So good to see everybody, and we should see you again in a couple of weeks. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and check out the blog for more content.